Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
I am
Hope
all
you
right,
know
pal.
this
How are
better.
you?
I'm
Hey,
good. What have you been up to?
um, I've been sunbathing.
Enjoying the sun.
I've been trying to get rid of this bald spot with some sun on it, but it's not working, mate. So yeah, so I'm good. How are you, pal?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
What's
What,
new?
um, I suppose that probably the biggest thing for me since the last spoke to you is I am having a hip replacement, which is a
Oh,
big thing. Yeah, so
I,
I
I
find out
thought
today.
I thought that happened to really old people.
Well, I am quite young, but it's becoming more and more often. They have said the risks of having a hip replacement when you're 50 mean that you might need another one before you know around 70. They last about 20 years. So
Wow, my goodness. I mean, that's a big decision, mate, that you've got to make. But it's a case of if you can't cope without it, you've got to get it done.
exactly for me, it's I just want to get it done as soon as possible so I can crack on. It's it impacts on my life, so the sooner I can get it done, the better.
Is that booked in already?
No, I'm waiting for a date for that, so
Okay.
hopefully it'll be in the next couple of months, few months.
Will it be before or after the Battle of Bedford? That's the question.
It's quite likely that it might be before. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm.
so everything's still going okay with the Battle of Bedford? It's still on?
Yeah, so it's full steam ahead. It's good news. We are. I mean, obviously, it's probably similar to the Bolton show in the sense that we don't know exactly what's happening with the government restrictions from
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah.
Um, but we are full steam ahead in the sense we're going to have a show. We know
Mm.
that we can run a show, um, but we just don't know what the limitations are on the amount of spectators and what restraints are going to still be in place and all that kind of stuff. So there's still a few things to kind of understand and know what's going to happen. But from our perspective, it's on the calendar. We've got people registered already.
What's the date?
October, Saturday, the 23rd. And you've let us down,
I
Ronnie.
know.
You've let us down, haven't you?
Well, when you rang me and said, yeah, book me in, not a problem, I literally straight away looked at my Google Calendar and I'm already booked to do a gig in Liverpool with the country's leading George Michael tribute act, Rob Lamberti in Liverpool, and it's sold out. And so I had to ring you back and say, look, I'm afraid I can't, I can't do it. And
What did
so,
I what did I what did I say to you on the phone? Remember, I spoke to you and I
yeah,
said, look, the show wouldn't be the same without you. You know, the Battle of Bedford. You are the Battle of Bedford.
I
And
know.
then literally, you called me back 2 minutes later. Said, Matt, I can't do it.
But then you said, it's all right, I've got a replacement, don't worry, see you later, ta and then that was it. Never mind.
You've got to
But
be quick in this world, haven't you?
I know, listen, I wish, I don't know who the girl you've got doing it, but I'm sure she'll do a great job for you. So, Anna, I wish her all the best. And you guys are all the best. I mean, I'm gutted I can't be there because I love the show. You know, I came down the night before, as you know, and I enjoyed the company. And it was always a great show. You know, I mean, to interview, for me personally, to interview Tom Platz twice live on stage for like half an hour was a real privilege. It's like me interviewing Robbie Robinson at the NABBA. It was
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
two idols of bodybuilding, and I had the pleasure of interviewing them both, and them being very complimentary to me about my technique and my style. So I was blown away with that. So,
I paid Tom Platz to say that.
hey.
I paid Tom Platz to say that.
I'm not going to get a compliment from you at all, am I? Really?
So
It's just a
what
trait of you scousers.
what's happening with the Bolton show?
Pretty much the same as yourself, really. We've booked September the 11th at the 3D Centre in Bella Street, Bolton. www.mrbolton.co.uk. Everything's all set up there. We got the £2,000 prize money up for grabs. IBFA qualifier, which is going to be in October, I think, the 23rd off the top of my head, which I'll be comparing hopefully, and hopefully we can get a decent amount of competitors on stage. The gyms are open. That's the big plus. At this moment in time, there's no signs of them closing. Fingers crossed. So people have got an avenue to train that we're in the mode, because I'm getting plenty of people who have registered, getting communications on a daily, regular basis, asking about shows, competitions, heights, weights, all that sort of stuff, the normal sort of stuff, Matt, that we get. And, like yourself, we're subject to being no last minute hitches, really. So we're marketing it. It's out there. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. It's on Twitter. So, and I just think we need to get back to normal and get things going again. So that's where we are with the Bolton show. But on to our next guest, which is when you let me know we've got the guest coming on, I was quite excited about it, and we've got a lady who's actually appearing in Channel 4's SAS Who Dares Wins, and she's about to join us, and it's the wonderful, lovely Tyler Clark.
Hey, Tyler.
Hey, you all right?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's a pleasure. The pleasure's all ours, and I'm sure we'll get people on during the live video cast who may be asking questions. So when that happens, Matt will obviously interject and we'll ask the questions accordingly. But obviously, I've given in the headlines there that you're on Channel 4's SAS Who Dares Wins, and we're going to talk to you probably at length about that later on. But what I want to do is get straight into where all this all started. And for me, it goes back to when you were sort of 18 years of age. I mean, you're 28 now, so we've got a 10-year sort of span there for us to have a chat about. But at 18 years of age, you started gaining weight. You started to lose sort of the prospect of keeping to a size 8 and balloon to a size 18. Now, in terms of size of dress, attribute that to weight, you've gone from 8 stone to like 16 stone. So you've basically ballooned in weight, ballooned in size. I mean, what's going on? What happened?
Yeah, two of me. It was, I just completely lost all focus on any kind of nutrition, and didn't really know what I should be eating. Well, no, I mean, I kind of knew what I should be eating, but I just didn't implement it. And it was through a process of complete binge eating on rubbish food, takeaways, anything I could get my hands on, which was then made worse from excessive drinking on weekends, lagers, ciders, everything, followed by hangovers, which then means, takeaways again, chocolate, and just completely lost in a minefield of food.
How much of that was, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, ignorance of adolescence, and how much of it was maybe being influenced by your friends, not so much your family, because I think your family would have been concerned of all the things you've just said there. But how much of that was down to your friends and your adolescence?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely hanging around with people that wasn't helping, but that was obviously my decision. And I think for me, it was a case I just didn't really care anymore. Mental health was a really big issue at that point from the age of 13 onwards. So I think by my mental health deteriorating, followed by my body image getting worse, I kind of just tried to block it out. But there was no lying in the mirror.
For people listening to this, I want you to try and bring us into your thought process, your mindset as you're looking at yourself going from 8 stone to 16 stone. What are you actually thinking about when you see yourself? And dare I say, either in your knickers or bra, or when you're naked and you're looking at yourself thinking that I was like that, but now I'm like this. you mentioned mental health, and it was a quick mention of mental health. But was there an underlying issue there to get you to that point where you was maybe that you were masking something else, some other issues that were possibly going on?
Yeah, the journey getting from a size 8 to a size 18, like, that just didn't happen overnight. That's over, prolonged period of time of eating rubbish, bad food habits, bad lifestyle altogether.
That was about 3 years, wasn't it? That was about 3 years, wasn't it?
3 years, yeah, 3 years of that journey. And if I'm being honest, like, I didn't see it happening. Like, I have turned a blind eye to what was actually going on, because even though I was going into the shops and buying bigger clothes, I could feel clothes getting tighter. I could feel, my breasts, they were getting big. I was buying big ugly sports bras, and yeah, I didn't feel nice. I didn't want to be seen naked, and my self-confidence was just completely shit. It was non-existent. And I was just hiding behind baggy clothes, big baggy t-shirts and hoodies, and even buying them bigger than what I needed. And it didn't really hit me until I was pregnant. And that of the turning point, because before that I just turned a blind eye. Even though I knew it was happening mentally, I'd kind of switched it off, like almost like I just didn't care about how I looked and how I felt. I just didn't care.
Tyler, was that because obviously there was something, you mentioned the age of 13, but there was something that happened maybe, or whatever. Were you going to food as a for help? Were you eating food to help you out? Was it food a comfort thing?
Yeah, I think I was using food almost like a comfort zone, because eating it made me feel good at the time, but afterwards I was like, wow, if I just ate all that, like, where is that going? And I was using it for comfort, and I found, like, the more I was eating, I could for example, something I would do, I would get 2 or 3 Mars bars, put them on a plate and microwave them and eat them with a spoon. Like, that's how bad it got. And we know now that when you're eating good foods like that, it is there to make you feel good. And I think that's why I was using it to make me feel better about myself, which was completely the wrong way to go about it. Because I just started getting more and more uncomfortable with how I was feeling. I couldn't think clearly because my head was just full of carbs all the time. I had carb brain.
So at any time while this is all happening, who's around you saying, what are you doing? This is not good for you. You shouldn't be doing this. Is there anybody telling you that? Or if they are you listening to them, or are you not?
No, do you know, there wasn't many people that kind of said, do you know, Tyler, like, you've put a lot of weight on, or that I look different. No one ever mentioned that to me, which I'm quite surprised by. And I think that could be down to possibly them hurting my feelings, because it really was that bad. It wasn't just putting an extra stone on. This is a lot of weight. Like, it was 2 of me, and I think people were quite scared really to how I would react, because my mental health was so bad at the time as well. If I'm being honest, I probably wouldn't have took it well. It would have made me worse. I can remember seeing actually a photo of myself. My dad got married, and this was when I was at the biggest size. So I really was just over 16 stone, and I was the bridesmaid, and I was really, really looking forward to actually seeing the pictures, because I was in this lovely, like, pink bridesmaid dress. So my dad said, you know what, I'll get you this picture for Christmas. And I opened it up and looked at this photo, and I was like, I just burst out crying. I thought, is that me? I couldn't believe it was me. And I think seeing that played a huge impact in making some changes.
Actually, it's a very good point, because people need something. It's a catalyst that changes it, and that was obviously the actual the straw that broke the camel's back, for the want of a better expression, to get you to help you to snap out of what you're doing because you didn't like the look of yourself in that picture. But when you're in the mirror, you didn't see that person.
Yeah, I didn't see it, and it was so strange because I would look at myself every day, and I would just block it out. And even though the clothes were getting bigger and I was getting bigger, I just turned a blind eye. And when I seen that photo, I was like, holy shit, like that is that me? And I couldn't stop crying.
So talk to me then about getting pregnant, and then the doctors say to you, your BMI is off the scale, potentially diabetic at an age of, a very, very young age. Must have frightened the bloody life out of you. Talk me through what happened then at that point.
Yeah, so when I was pregnant with my second son, my BMI was that high that they sent me for a precautionary diabetes check. And I kind of said to them, why am I going for this? Because at this point, I still didn't see the weight in the mirror. No. And they said to me, Tyler, you're clinically obese. You're at high risk of developing diabetes, or you might actually have it now. And I was like, wow, like I have literally put my health at risk while I'm pregnant and got another son to look after. If I continue like this, I'm probably not going to be around as their mum for very much longer.
Wow.
So for me, that for me is the point where it was all or nothing. I had to make that decision to change, because if I didn't, then I would be double 16 stone again by now, wouldn't I?
So at that point, you've had your world rocked. The experts are saying to you, you are clinically obese. You are an absolute prime candidate for diabetes, and you are a prime candidate to basically drop dead. That frightened the life out of you, which give you a completely different path. I know we're going to end up where you're talking about the Who Dares Wins and the SAS program on now. There's a middle bit here, which is basically a whole new lifestyle change for you. And I'm not saying diet, because it's not about the diet, and I think you're going to touch on that. It's about a complete lifestyle change. You sort of hit the nail on the head. It was an all or nothing. So you had to do a complete 180 and change everything that you were doing to go from a size 16 to bring this weight down. So just talk me through the early days of that. What happened there? Because obviously we know that you went on to compete, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. So there's a major change there. There's a major shift, from 13 to 19, 20, and we're now talking about a major change. What happened?
Yeah, so after making a promise to myself that I was going to change, I was still having doubts, because I thought, I'm going to try and get a little bit fitter, change my nutrition, and possibly start at the gym. Will this be, a 2 to 4 week fling with the gym? Or am I actually going to be able to continue this for the rest, throughout life? And there was an element of doubt at that point. I had no interest in the gym. I had no interest in training. The thought of going to the gym, I had no motivation for that. So I did start to look at classes like boxercise, even just going for a little run. But again, I'm not a big runner. So I then started weight training, and I did get the okay actually from the midwife at this point because I was pregnant at the time. So I was pretty limited with what I could actually do. But I could clean up my diet. That was in my control. I could also start some light weight training as well while being pregnant. You know, as long as you're not doing anything, you know, on your abs, you know, look at just being mindful of what you're doing. So I started going to the gym and, you know, going on the shoulder press, doing a little bit of legs, and I actually found myself getting a little bit stronger and mentally starting to feel a little bit better too. And this was something that I wasn't really expecting to feel, because you go to the gym to, you know, for your body, and to start improvements in my mind was really quite interesting. And kind of 4 to 6 weeks into that, it stayed, and the passion for it seemed to get a little bit stronger. So once my son was born, I actually joined a bodybuilding gym, and the decision was made that I was going to compete. And this was, I'd lost about a stone, so I had a long way to go. I went down to the bodybuilding gym and I said to the guy behind the desk, I said, I want to do my first bodybuilding competition. Could you kind of help me figure out where I need to go, what I need to do? And he said, you do know you've got like a lot of weight to lose. Like, you need to be losing at least 2 to 3 stones to be stepping on the stage. Like that's a lot to do. I was like, yeah, I want to do it in a year. And he was like, if you there was someone actually sitting there and I seen him laughing, and I was like, I really don't care. Like, this is my journey. I'm doing this.
Let me just take you back to when you were pregnant, and everybody knows, whether acceptable or not, that you put weight on when you have a baby. So you're sitting at 16 stone, you're pregnant, and you're saying to yourself, I would imagine, I'm going to put another couple of stone on here, so I could potentially go to 18 stone while I'm having this baby. And we've heard all the sayings, oh, we're eating for 2 and all that sort of stuff. Did you, when you were in the gym training when you were pregnant, did you lose weight, or did you just maintain the weight that you had? Or did you put weight on? Where were you with that? And then we'll come back to the bodybuilding, because it's an intriguing thought process.
Yeah, Ronnie. So the crazy thing is, I actually, at 20 weeks onwards, I ended up losing weight throughout my pregnancy. So I actually lost 2 stone all in, and at the 20-point mark, when you're pregnant, that's kind of when baby's growing the most. So realistically, you should be putting weight on. But I was losing it. So that was pretty insane. But it was all done healthy as well, though. You know, I wasn't starving myself. I was eating all the nutritious food that the midwife was telling me to eat. All under the midwife's eye. And, you know, she was really happy with how baby was progressing, how I was progressing, and also my mental state as well. Good. So yeah, losing weight through it.
Good. I think it was important to clarify that, because it proves a number of points, doesn't it? 1, yes, you were overweight, but 2, you got your diet in your eating habits in order, and you were still, the baby was progressing nicely, wasn't being held back in any way, shape or form, developing and doing what it needed to do. And here you are at the end of it, losing in excess of 2 stone, which gave you a good kickstart to go into the gym, like you said, and the girl or the guy behind sniggering and laughing at you saying, well, I'm going to do it. Now, you know what? That is your journey. That is your goal. That is your objective. And if they want to laugh at that, then that's fine. I bet they didn't get on stage that year and compete, but you did.
No, they never actually.
You didn't?
No, they didn't. They didn't get on the stage that year. I did. I got on that stage.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Sorry, I misunderstood what you said. That's what I said. You got on the stage and they didn't. So let them laugh all they want, So the only person you got to compete with, as everybody knows, is yourself. Look in the mirror, pardon the harping back to before, is you've only got yourself to beat, and that's what you've done. So,
Ronnie, just before you move on, I mean, it's worth pointing out how because this is quite common. I'm a coach myself, and I see, men and women come to me and say they want to get on stage, and some of them have not necessarily, I want to use a better phrase than wild aspirations, but some of them are a long way away from stage, just like Tyler was. And we need to give Tyler a lot of credit there for that journey, because I would, being that person behind the gym counter, probably have had the same kind of look on the face to someone in that situation. I would probably have been a little bit skeptical and said, this is a tough journey. And a lot of people that do go on this journey never ever get to that stage. So for Tyler to have been so far to one side and actually get on stage, that's commendable, and well done to you there. It's amazing.
Yeah, very good. Good point. Yeah. So,
thank you.
You've got these dreams, standing at the desk in the gym. I want to compete. How long was it before you'd actually got on the stage, and what class did you do?
So I started the very intense journey. It was one year after I'd given birth, exactly.
Wow.
And I competed for the IFA in the toned figure.
Excellent.
So it was not an easy journey. It really wasn't. I had to, while I'd gained a little bit of experience within, nutrition and gaining control about what I'm putting in my mouth, taking it to bodybuilding is taking it more extreme again, because everything has to be in check at that point. Every meal is for a reason. You then need to be making sure that you're training. You can't miss your training. You can't have your days, completely off plan. You need to be completely dedicated to that. So that really was a whole new aspect of healthy eating. And
did you find that
what was
an easy transition from where you were before? Because you've basically gone from binge eating anything you want, having no real routine, no real strict sort of, what you can and can't do, to actually saying, I've got to eat it at this time with this amount of carbs, fats, protein, etc., and keeping to that. Did you find that easy, or was that the mental side of it which helped you?
Yeah, I found that helped me. I found to really like having that routine and that regimen of, you're going to be eating every 3 hours. This is what you're having. And more to the point, it was getting me results. And when I was seeing them results, that was the drive for me.
Was the results seeing the results in the mirror, and then you started to basically fall back liking yourself in the mirror, or was it just because of the size of the clothes that were fitting to it? They were coming down from 18s to 16s to 14s, etc. People can see the picture probably, but was it a mixture of both? Were you standing on the scales as well? Was it all those three things put together?
Yeah, it was a mixture of everything. It was nice seeing the scales coming down. And in the mirror, again, I couldn't really see that many changes straight away. And what helped me was actually taking photos so that I could visually see where I'm actually changing. Because I think when you look at yourself, in the mirror or down at yourself, you can't really see the changes happening. And it's not until you look at photos you know, maybe 4 weeks apart, that you start seeing them really big changes happening. And I really like seeing how each week moves somehow within my training. So I was, and because my fitness levels were rubbish when I started this fitness journey, like they were non-existent. I couldn't run. Altogether, and like lifting weights, I was really weak. I mean, I'd done no training for 3 or 4 years, so especially for a female, I always found body was the weakest part. So to do dumbbell presses and lateral raises, I was with the 2 kilograms. So to start seeing them slowly building up and getting stronger was something that made me feel stronger as a person. So again, mentally, it was taking that mental aspect again, to feel stronger and just more able to cope with life altogether.
So when you were,
it was also.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to touch then as well on clothing as well. I mean, it wasn't nice hiding behind all the clothing when I was at my biggest. And once I started getting a little bit of confidence and, you know, seeing my waist smaller and everywhere just not being as wobbly, I gained some confidence in what I could wear. So I could wear, you know, I wasn't at that point where I could wear a crop top. I wasn't that confident, but I was wearing vest tops and shorts and skirts. I could feel more comfortable in what I was wearing, and again, built that self-confidence.
Did you have any outside influences helping you, a personal trainer, a coach, or was this all done from your own sort of, I've got to do this on my own, this is my journey?
It was, yeah, it was a journey. It was for me, but also to be a better mum as well, because I didn't want to be that mum that couldn't, you know, take the boys down to the park and play football, or worry about being out of breath when they wanted to go for a walk. So it was to be a fitter, healthier mum, but also it was something for me, because I also, you know, when you're a mum, I mean, I'm a single mum, it can be very easy to not have time or something for yourself. So you can put all your focus into work and being a family person, and then you can forget about yourself. And you need to have an interest on something, you know, so that you can focus. So again, it was for me too.
So while all this was going on, you've obviously taken a career change as well. So you were selling cars for about 4 years, and then all of a sudden you decide to. I know that helped you to get where you were with your bodybuilding, but you decided to stop doing that. I know you were still competing at the time, and we'll talk about the few of the competitions you done. But then you actually went in to be a PT yourself about, was it 3 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I worked in car sales for 4.5 years. And I think what interested me in that was the competitiveness of it. I found myself to be quite a competitive person. Then obviously paid for me to do training, to develop my personal training and online coaching skills. And I kind of got to that point where I needed to be true to myself. And for me, fitness is the big passion. I feel good when I'm helping people transform just like I did.
Yeah.
And when I'm doing that, it just doesn't feel like work.
Well,
so that's now what I do full time.
I've seen some of your pictures, and I know I've compared for you when you've been on shows as well. So, and lots of Matt's a PT as well. And when you're training somebody, I think they want to look at you and go, I want to look like you. because you actually do and walk the walk and talk the talk. Because Matt's competed, lots of coaches out there have competed, and you're coming from a position of strength. And obviously, your tagline is obviously Tyler Clark Coaching. So online coaching, PT, that's great. And I'm sure that's going well for you. What I want to just do now is just talk a little bit more about your bodybuilding, and then I want to move on to the Who Dares Wins SAS on Channel 4, and because obviously it's going out currently as we speak. So, and I know you're going to give us an update on that, but we'll start on that in a minute. So, you competed 2016. It was the Mr. and Miss Tyneside, and then you went on to do the IBFA Cumbria and our hometown, the Liverpool, as well, didn't you? So, and you won the Liverpool and got an invite to the British final. How did you do in the British final that year?
I didn't place in the British finals. I think they'd done the first three, which I wasn't in, so I'm not quite sure where I placed, but I did gain a lot of experience from that.
See, I think the key also there as well is that you achieved a goal and an objective to get on stage and compete. You did that. You won a competition and you went to a British final, as you said, gained more experience. But, you know, how many other people would have packed in when they didn't get placed? But you didn't. You kept on going, which is great. Now, what I want to ask you is this: is that you applied for the show Who Dares Wins on Channel 4. What made you apply for that? Because here you are, in all honesty, somebody who's gone from a size 16, 4 or 5 years ago, major transformation, having this decision to go and step on stage. That's not enough for you now. There's another challenge in here. What was your thought process on that? Because we've watched the show, we've seen, celebrities on the show, we've seen that it's absolutely, it's an unbelievable show. You've got to be at the top of your game. I mean, there's 20 odd competitors there and it gets reduced. So what the bloody hell are you thinking I'm going to apply for this show?
It was something that I had to challenge. You can test your physical strength in the gym, but there's no real way of challenging your mental strength. And for me, that's always been something that I've doubted a lot. And I mean, I want to in my fitness as well, because as you know, with bodybuilding, we're more focused on building the muscle and getting the most out of your training for muscle growth, which is completely different to any kind of endurance training or metabolic conditioning. And I didn't know that, but there was just something kind of in me that says, Tyler, you need to do this. You need to put it to the test. I can't quite put my finger on exactly what that was, but it was just like I had to to see actually what I'm capable of achieving. But I'd spent so many years being quite lost in myself with the mental health. And then I managed to kind of gain control of that through finding fitness mainly. And I would honestly say that fitness saved my life.
Wow.
So I just really needed to put myself to the challenge and see what I was capable of. I mean, it's the ultimate test of, resilience and mental and physical strength. So the thought of that really, really motivated me. And I was quite intrigued by it. I find the whole series inspiring. And when I seen the women, women haven't been allowed to do the selection course until 2 years ago, so it's something that's quite new as well. It was a very male-orientated place. So as soon as I seen the females on 2 years ago, I thought, that looks like a challenge to me. I want to do that. But I didn't do the first year, and then this year I actually made it on. So yeah, I couldn't believe it. I actually applied in the lockdown.
So talk to me then about, obviously you'd watch the program and that say, well, I want to do that, and you'd applied for it. What was the criteria for getting on the program? Because obviously everybody knows that you've got to go through some sort of prelim. So what actually happened for you to do the prelim to say, well, yeah, you're good enough to get on the show or to be one of the competitors?
So the standards were you had to do 60 sit-ups in less than 2 minutes. You had to do 60 press-ups in less than 2 minutes as well. So these were the ones that I didn't really feel too bothered about, because that's something that I kind of do in my training, and, you know, I've got strength in my upper body. The next one was a weighted lift. So it was 2 20-kilo weights, which you had to then walk with for 2 minutes as well. But the main challenge for me was the run, which is a really fast pace. Was 9.5 minutes. You had to do a 1.5 mile run, which is quick. I tried to do it the first time because we were still in lockdown. There was no way of really training for these things. So I had to record it on the treadmill, and the pace was, I think it was at 13 miles an hour. So it was really going for it. That's what you had to run at to hit that 9.5 minutes. It was really quick. I was actually sick twice off trying to do it. And it nearly beat me. Getting that time nearly beat me. I was waking up every morning trying to get this time, and I just couldn't make it. And then I kind of thought outside the box a little bit, and I thought, do you know what? I'm actually going to go down to a track. I'm going to do it on a track. And I got it recorded on a track, and I actually hit the time.
So when you had to do this prelim then, was that all in a day? Was that in a couple of hours, or was it done over a couple of days?
No, that had to be done one after the other. So that's all back to back. So you do sit-ups, followed by the press-ups, then the weighted walk, and then you had to finish with the 1.5 mile run. So
you only had one chance. So at any point, if you didn't do what they wanted, were you eliminated at that point on the prelim?
Yeah, if I didn't do them, I wouldn't have been able to do the course. Now, when I actually went to location for the course, there was also a further couple of tests that had to be done. So again, even though I'd been accepted as a recruit, there was still a few further tests that I had to do, which was a swimming test and also a CPEC test, which tests, it's actually a test that athletes use, high-end athletes, to test the max heart rate.
Yeah.
And that'll tell you how good your endurance is. So it's the one where you get like a mask on, you have all the little monitors over your body, and you've really got to go max out so that it can measure what your oxygen output is. I had that done, which turned out I was actually more and my endurance was higher than what I thought anyway, so I was pretty happy with that. And the swimming test as well, I wasn't a big swimmer. That was another worry for me, but again, I managed to do it. And you know what? It's like, if your mind believes that you can do something, like, things can really start to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think the journey that you've come on, really, and I think the tests at the end there was basically sort of reiterating the major change you've undertaken from, you know, going from 16 stone, size 18, to this endurance test to get on the program. And that's giving you all the ticks that everything is fine and everything's in. So what you've done has been all good to the point to get you to where you are. So you get through all of that, and they then say, you're on the show. So when they said that to you, from when they said you're on the show to when the show starts, what's the time scale in between? Have you got a chance to train? Did they give you a plan to say you need to work on this, this, or this, and go away and have a look at it and come back and make sure you do, that training for the show? Or is it they don't tell you anything and you just turn up and they hit you with it?
That's a good question. I only actually found out I was going to be a recruit a week before the actual go date. So
Wow.
I a week, and you can't do anything really for your endurance or training within that week. So I mean, it was a job that throughout the lockdown I had continued training, but it wasn't training for the SAS, it was my bodybuilding training. I was wanting to compete last year, which didn't go ahead with the shows being cancelled, but I continued keeping my training in check, keeping nutrition in check, because they were in my control. So I had a week, and I just pretty much laid off my training, if I'm being honest, because I knew that I would need as much energy as possible for the show. And I also increased my food. With the SAS, it's known that you've got to be restricted on sleep, food. So I just tried to make sure I could get as much food into me as possible, good food, plenty of carbs, really to restore my body ready for the show. And that's all I could do at that point. So
we know you as competitor number 18. And you're not 007, you're number 18. And am I right in saying there was 23 competitors who started out? Or am I right on that number?
Yeah, 23.
I can't hear a reply.
She did say 20. Yeah, she said 23.
Okay. So 23 and sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, 23.
Okay. So and we're into is the fourth week just gone out yesterday? Is that right?
Yeah, so yesterday was the 4th episode that was aired last night, which was the chemical warfare attack, the save in the water, and also controlled aggression.
Okay, and did you survive? Have we lost her?
No, she's still there.
Okay. And did you survive?
Just the CSCS gas attack was something that I've never quite experienced in my life. It was painful experiences I've actually been through. I don't know if you've seen that episode, Ronnie, but it was like a gas mask. It was, we had to put it on our face and do a two mile run with this gas mask on, and that was such an issue. When you're running and breathing normally, that's okay. But this mask restricted the amount of breath that you could get in, the amount of oxygen. And it almost felt like a panic attack. That's the only way that I can describe that feeling. It was like you were trying to suck in oxygen, but it was just so restricted that you had to alter the way that you were breathing.
Like snorkeling.
So we had to do that run with the 40 kilograms on our back. Yeah. So that was really tough, and I think because we never got told of what that would feel like having that respirator on, it was a bit of shock in there as well, because I just wasn't expecting it to feel like that. It was really hot. You had sweat running down your face, and you were just gasping for breath. If you pull that mask off, you were off the course.
Wow.
So you had to just crack on and get on with that. One to the porter cabin, this is where with the clothing on for this gas attack, and that was to replicate a chemical warfare attack. And we had to go into the porter cabin. So I was paired up with an oppo, which was one of the other recruits. And we were in a team together. And when we walked into the porter cabin, it was a little bit misty and you could see that the gas was there. But I was like, you know what, like, I'm all right. I've got this gas mask on. I'm okay. So I was just making sure that all my holes and everything was all covered up so the gas couldn't get in. And then I got told that I had to then take this gas mask off and count down and then say my name and my number. And to actually take that mask off I did not want to take the mask off because I knew the world of pain that I was going to be in by taking it off. I've never experienced it before, but the police use it, and it's what gets people on the floor, rolling around with their eyes. So I've never experienced that before, but I have heard bad stories about it. So I knew when I was taking that off, that pain was going to hit me, and it did. Like, it completely flooded my airways. It was like it was burning down my throat. Saying my name and my it was you couldn't talk, you couldn't breathe, and we literally fell to the floor and then had to rescue a hostage. So that for me was really, really difficult. But yeah, I did survive that.
So when we see, when we see the fourth episode, what's the time scale between the third to the fourth? Is it the next day?
Sorry, what was that, Ronnie? I only heard the first part of that.
So from episode 4, if we go back to episode 3, what's the time scale, the difference between doing the third task and then doing the fourth task? Is it the next day? Is it the same day? Do you get any time in between to sort of recuperate, to get your strength back and then go again?
Mm-hmm. So the way that on the telly, it covers 2 days in each episode. So that in real life on the selection course was, a full 2 days. But I was quite surprised when I'm watching the series back. I haven't actually seen any episodes, so every night it's new for me too. It's like I'm reliving the experience now, even though I'd done this back in September.
Yeah.
And it's just so intense. It does show how difficult it actually is on the telly. If I'm being honest, it looks easier on the telly because there's no rest. You get no rest.
Yeah.
There's no downtime. The cameras are rolling 24/7. The mics are on 24/7. And some nights I had 2 to 3 hours sleep. On episode 3, the backwards dive, we'd done that at 4:30 in the morning. But me and one of the recruits that night were actually on a watchtower looking for registrations of cars. We were making sure that the camp was safe. So that full night we were on night watch and we got no sleep. So actually done then the full day without having any sleep. So in that day, we'd done the backwards dive, followed by the red man, followed by a beast in the parade square. And we also done a leap of faith across a canyon.
Wow.
By the sea. So that was all done in one day, and it's just go, go, go. There's no time to rest and recover. Like, that's all your body's screaming for, is, you know, it just wants to rest. But you've got to self-medicate, block the pain out, and just continue.
So obviously you can't tell anybody how you get on, but we know you're down to the last 10. So that's way below the halfway mark of the 23 that are on the show. Let's flip sort of to the other side of it. When the show finishes, is there any particular motivation to want to do anything directly involved with the show? Is there any sort of objective of trying to do something more? I'm talking on the lines of when you see people who do things like Big Brother and that sort of stuff, where they get, you know, and they get a job as a presenter, or they get a job doing something on television. Is that something that is a goal for you, or because there's no prize money involved, it's just all self-esteem to say you've won it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So for me, going through the selection was something that I had to do for myself. It was probably a journey of figuring out who I am and what I'm about. So to look at other shows like Big Brother or Love Island or things like that's not me. It doesn't stay in line with my values. So that wouldn't be looked to. Anything with self-improvement and fitness and things, you know, that's what I like, that's what I enjoy. But what I actually feel I've taken away from the selection course is a skill set that I can actually help with to give to my clients. So there's a lot of things that I now have that I can share to other people, and that's something I'm grateful for.
Well, listen, that's fantastic. I mean, it just leaves me really to say it's been a great interview. We've covered nearly an hour from obviously your initial beginnings from a size 16 to where we are now, currently on the Channel 4 program Who Dares Wins. And let's keep our fingers crossed, because we don't know either, because you haven't told us, and I know you're bound to secrecy on that. So we wish you the very best of luck on that. And I'm sure all the, like you've just said there, to reiterate, all the qualities that you've sort of experienced will only stand you and your clients in good stead for when you do your coaching and your online coaching and your PT. And so probably from myself and Matt, we wish you the very best of luck. I've really enjoyed the chat, and we'll speak to you soon. And I'll no doubt see you in a competition on stage in the next year or two.
You will indeed, yeah. Thanks very much.
Brilliant.
I have just got one question before we go, and it's, I guess now that you've obviously competed already, and now you've been on the SAS, do you think that will make you? Let me rephrase that. Do you think competing might be easier for you now that you've done something as hard as the SAS? Do you think it's hardened you up to make? Because competitive, you know, getting on stage, it's not easy. So do you think it's toughened you up to be a better competitor, maybe? Is that an option?
Yeah, it really has, because I'd done the selection in September. When I got back, I then went right into a bodybuilding prep. So I then prepped from November right through the lockdown, and competed 4 weeks ago. So that was the longest prep that I've ever done, really. I've never prepped for that long. but that couldn't be helped because of the show dates changing. But I just continued to prep, and there really was some difficult days in there. Getting the fasted cardio in, taking my mind to a dark place, home training for 2 hours, not even knowing if the shows were going to go ahead, but continuing and doing it anyway. It's definitely helped. I can take myself back to the selection course to some really difficult and challenges, and I just think, if I can get through that, like what is another day feeling hungry or having one of them struggle days, it really just helps to get through them moments. And especially during a prep, towards the back of a bodybuilding prep, it can be difficult. Energy is really low. You're feeling hungry, your sleep isn't great because your food's low again. So it's definitely helped me remember, Tyler, like, you've dealt with hungry, you've dealt with worse than this. You can get through this bit, so it has made it easier and will help me to be a better athlete. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, don't go anywhere, Tyler. You stay backstage for us, because me and Ronnie will want to say goodbye to you and a few things. So you just stay there. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm just going to take you out.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Right, Ronnie.
Wow.
I was really absorbed into that, because I could listen to that, and it's good, the comparison for me between bodybuilding, which does feel like one of the toughest things you could ever do, and then for someone to go and do both, the SAS thing, which looks insane, and see the comparison between them two. I was totally absorbed. I thought that was great.
I think that there's two things on that, Matt. I mean, and you touched on it at the end, which is a great question, by the way. Going from SAS now back into doing competitive bodybuilding, dieting and structure will probably be like a walk in the park. But I think she can bring that sort of determination and willpower, and your body can go further than what you think, because you haven't experienced it yet until you go to the next stage. She's just gone to the next stage. So she's gone from size 16, size 18 and being 16 stone to doing what she's doing. So her mindset has gone from one end of the scale to the other, and fair play to her. A brilliant interview. I think there's a lot of things that people will resonate with and go, that's me. I've done that. Not believing in themselves, mindset, mental health issues, looking at themselves but not doing anything about it. Nobody having the bottle to tell you that you're fat and that you're overweight. You need to sort yourself out because you don't want to upset you. We've seen that. So lots of things will resonate with people who have listened tonight and what she said, and it's a real life experience. So it was a very good interview, and I hope she goes on and does well on the show. But for me, and I think this is what she was saying herself, really, it's not about anything else other than pushing myself to the maximum and pushing myself to the limit where I know I've done the very best I can, and if I get to the end and I win, then I win. But, getting to where she's at this moment in time, I think she's already won anyway, really.
She's a great role model.
Hey?
Yeah, she's a great role model, and the journey is incredible.
Brilliant. All right, mate. Well, listen, I'll look forward to our next video cast, and we've got to go some way to beat that one, mate.
I know that was definitely up there, wasn't it?
That's exactly the sort of podcast that we want. Real life situations, people who have struggled, openly admitted that they've struggled, but got their head round on sorting their situations out. I thought it was interesting that she did it on her own, to be honest, where she didn't have any help. And I thought that. I thought shows that she's got a very strong mindset and very determined and very focused, because it turns out she's she's doing very well. So brilliant, yeah.
I forgot to plug a website as well, so I've just put it up here at the minute. She has got her own website, so if anyone is interested in contacting Tyler, a website is down below there, tylerclarkcoaching.co.uk. So please, contact her via there.
Brilliant. All right,
All right, Ronnie.
Yeah, God bless, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right, we'll see you soon. Okay, bye now.